with Somos Texas, and this is interview number 9. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and give us your classification and where you're from?
My name is Emanuel. I grew up in Maynard, Texas, which is near Austin, and I'm a sophomore at A&M.
Awesome. Okay. So, what made you decide to go to college?
Well, my biggest factor is I wanted to pick schools that had architecture in them. So I wanted to stay in Texas because of financial reasons. So my schools that I picked that had architecture here in Texas were uh, Rice. That was my reach school.
Mm-hmm.
There was UT because it was near home, but then there was also A&M, UTSA, and Prairie View, which all have architecture programs.
Mm-hmm.
But the main reason that A&M seemed more appealing is because they were giving me more financial aid.
Cool. Okay. So, what was the application process like?
It was really hard. Um, not No one in my family has gone to college, except like one uncle, which hadn't wasn't really helping because he was away and like no one around in my family, like my mom, my dad, and me being the oldest. I had no one to rely on except for my other friends who were in the same boat with me, and we were all getting together after school, trying to figure out, okay, how do you work, apply Texas, or how do you work all of these different uh, websites that we have to go through in order to apply. Like FAFSA, that was super hard.
Yeah.
My dad didn't have a social at that time, so having to figure out how to insert his information when he didn't have a social, and then having to email IRS for information, all that stuff, that took a lot of work, and it was hard because I had to figure it out as I went.
Okay. So, what kind of help did you get at school besides forming a group with your friends?
At school, well, we had a counselor, especially because I wasn't a part of the early college.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really always at high school, especially in my senior year. I was always with the early college people.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one counselor. He was always with us. He was basically our one teacher at the high school. And he was helping us with applications. He was telling us, oh, you could apply here and over there. And he helped us like review our papers and all of that stuff. But there wasn't really anyone that was like setting up workshops, like showing us, okay, to apply, you have to go to, well, they gave us the websites to apply to,
Yeah.
but they didn't show us how to navigate. That was basically us figuring it out on our own.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about the day that you got your acceptance letter.
Well, I think I received, no, yeah, it was the letter. It was that big, giant envelope that said Texas A&M, and I was all like, wow. I've seen all those movies, where they
Yeah.
get the envelope and then like start running to the parents and mira ma, look at it, like something like that. But I really didn't have like that rush or anything, because I already knew I was gonna get in.
Nice. Okay.
Because I applied to all of the schools I mentioned except Rice, because I didn't want to write another paper.
Yeah.
But I did apply to all of the ones that I did, and I knew I was gonna get in because I was top of my class.
Okay.
So it was exciting getting that paper saying welcome to like A&M and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But as I read, I accidentally applied for the wrong major, so I had to call and figure all that. But I got into architecture.
What was that like?
It was super funny. Imagine like going back to school. Like at first you go, hey, I got an A into A&M. Everyone's like, congratulations. And then as soon as you're like trying to apply for like scholarships, and it's like, oh, what major are you in?
Mm-hmm.
And when you read, and it's something about agriculture, when you apply for architecture, it kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
So then it was kind of embarrassing.
But you got it fixed.
Oh yeah, I got it fixed.
Okay. Good. Tell me about your first day on campus, whether it was the NSC or the first time you moved in.
Okay. My first day of campus is me and my friend. from high school, as I was like, I've never been to A&M. I want to go check it out. But this was after I already accepted coming to A&M.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, A&M is giving me this amount of money, and that's really going to help me a lot. And my goal was, I don't want my parents to help me with school. They already helped me my whole life. Now I want to do something for them.
Yeah.
Going to college without them having to help me. So what I did was I accepted A&M because they were helping me out a lot. And then I came, oh, I'm going to go visit them. And just like, I grew up in Austin, so I've been to UT. So seeing the difference, it made me appreciate A&M a bit more, because everything over there is like, it felt crowded. But here everything was open, and me being from a small town and living in the middle of nowhere, having like open space really helped me like feel at home. And everyone around campus was friendly.
Yeah.
People were telling me they were gonna say howdy everywhere, but a couple people did say howdy, but not as many, because we didn't want to look like visitors. So we brought our backpacks, and we're just walking around the campus with backpacks.
Nice.
But yeah, it was really nice. And when I brought my family during NSC, that was my second time I was here. My mom really liked it, and my dad also liked it, and that made me want to come here more. Cause like once your family like approves of a place, it makes you fall in love with it.
That's good. Okay. So what is your major, and why did you choose it?
Okay. My major is architecture. And the reason I chose it is because my dad is a construction worker, and I've always been around like the construction sites. Ever since I was little, my dad would take me to the construction sites, and I would work. And like his bosses were always friendly with me and giving me a job and like giving me money for helping them out, even though I didn't do anything at the time. I started when I was, I'm pretty sure, 11 years old. And I was helping out at the sites and seeing how a building gets made from like nothing to like a home for a person or whatever function it has. Made me fall in love with architecture, because being able to create something that doesn't serve just as like a shelter, but it provides an atmosphere for like families to grow up in, and yeah, so that's the reason I picked it.
Awesome. Okay. What is it like to be a first-year student in general and here at Texas A&M?
In general, it's pretty hard, especially when there isn't like, especially at home, there isn't like people to help you out with the process. You're basically on your own. You're like the guinea pig in the family, but you're also the pride in the family. They also, it gives you a motivation to like show your younger siblings or people around you like what your family's capable of.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like is that it creates like a family with other first generation people. It gives them a common ground and makes them be able to relate to something. And one of the things when I went to fish camp, because I wanted to meet new people, because not really that many people from my school came here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go to fish camp and get new friends. So when we were sitting there, I was surprised that there wasn't that many Hispanics.
Right.
Well, I got told at school that there wasn't gonna be that many, but there was actually quite some few.
Yeah.
But when we met each other and was all like, oh yeah, I'm first generation, we immediately bonded and like created a group. So throughout freshman year, I didn't feel alone, cause like, oh, I have some friends.
Yeah.
And then throughout the years, meeting new people, and like having this common ground that, oh, we're Hispanic, oh, we're first generation, like it makes you be able to relate and be able to come closer, because you have something in common.